Good evening, Facebook friends and YouTube followers. This is Switch again, back with your third and final video blog of the night for Monday, July 21st, 2014, around 8 o'clock. The sun's going down in Bellevue, Massachusetts. It's going to be another comfortable night before the humidity creeps in. And some news to report on the sports scene. Johnny Manziel's number 2 Cleveland Browns uniform is the best-selling uniform in the NFL. It's amazing. A rookie has a best-selling uniform. It's going like hotcakes. I think the Browns are going to have to start him if all the fans want his number 2 jersey. And also some sports news, which is a little bit sad. Prayers to former NBA player and current Atlanta Dreams head coach Michael Cooper, who was diagnosed with tongue cancer, but they caught it at the early stages, and he's hoping for a full recovery. We'll wait and see, and we have prayers to him so he can beat this cancer, because cancer needs to be beaten 100% completely. Okay? Now, on to my third and final subject. It's about a classic television show called Cannon. Cannon was a crime drama show starring William Conrad, and it lasted from September 14th, 1971 to March 3rd, 1976 on the CBS television network. 5 seasons. It had 124 episodes. The premise was of Cannon. Cannon was a detective with the LAPD, but he retired, and after he retired, his wife and son died in a car accident, and he tried to find who it was suspicious, so Cannon tried to find who was responsible for killing his wife and son, but it never came because it was never solved. But Cannon became a private investigator afterwards. He lived in a big penthouse in LA, and he was overweight, obese, very obese, and he was fond of expensive taste of cars and food. He loved to eat food, and also Cannon loved to drive a silver 1972 Lincoln Continental Mark IV. Cannon was most of the cases that Cannon solved were clients from Southern California, but he went to other places. I remember one episode in the first season, he went to New Mexico. Also, Cannon was a smoker. He was a pipe smoker. The first 2 seasons, you would see him smoke a pipe a lot, but eventually he stopped smoking pipes because I think they just wanted television characters not to smoke anything, period, because this was back in the 70s, well, when smoking on television, they didn't have any more smoking commercials, and they started to phase the smoke being out for television characters. And Cannon was actually, the second season of Cannon, he was guest starred on Barnaby Jones, the premiere episode of Barnaby Jones, and people think Barnaby Jones is kind of a spin-off for Cannon, but it was actually not. It was kind of a crossover of Cannon. And also, Cannon did not have any regular co-stars besides William Conrad, but there was, the first season, it was like a recurring character. Martin Sheen played ex-police officer Jerry Walton in the first season for a few episodes, but in subsequent seasons he never appeared. He actually appeared on a guest star on the 3rd season of Cannon as a lawyer, and that was about it. They had no regular cast members besides William Conrad, and the show was a big hit for CBS television. In fact, it peaked in the ratings in 1973-1974 while finishing number 10 in the Nielsen ratings, which is pretty amazing considering that. But considering that it was when the cop shows were hot in the 70s. There were so many cop shows. Cannon ended in the run in 1976. It was produced by Quinn Martin Productions. Quinn Martin produced such television hits as The Fugitive, 12 O'Clock High, The FBI, The Invaders, streets of San Francisco and Barnaby Jones. And Cannon was the one of two television series that Quinn Martin produced for CBS. The other shows he produced were for ABC. Cannon went off the air in 1976. It was seen in syndication for many, many years. First, it was seen in syndication in Boston on WXNE Channel 25 for a few years. Then it was it was rerun syndication on WQTV, then WABU Channel 68 in Boston for about 15 years on and off. Also, I saw maybe some episodes of Cannon on WWOR Channel 9 in New York when they were on cable in Massachusetts back in the 80s and 90s. Currently, Cannon's seen today, reruns on Cannon is seen on MeTV at 5 p.m. on Sundays. And Cannon got so popular, they had a reunion movie of Cannon in 1980. William Conrad reprised his role as Frank Cannon, and it broadcast November 1st, 1980, which, was only 10 years after Cannon debuted, so that was kind of not too far after it got canceled in 1976. Cannon was one of the most famous cop shows. I think it's a top 10 cop show of all time. And, William Conrad, that was his most memorable role as Frank Cannon, because William Conrad had a distinguished voice. He was a voiceover actor for many years. He actually was the voice of Marshall Dillon in the radio version of Gunsmoke, and he was offered the role to play Matt Dillon on the TV series Gunsmoke, but when the producers tried him out, he was a very heavy set, and they passed on him. And I heard something, he suffered serious depression from that for many years after getting turned down for that role. Also in the 60s, William Conrad was a narrator for the Rocky and Bullwinkle commercials, and he also narrated Fugitive. After Cannon left the air, he continued a lot of voiceover work. He was actually the voiceover for the first season of Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, 1987. William Conrad starred in the television series Jake and the Fat Man, starring Joe Perry, and that lasted 5 years. Sadly, William Conrad passed away in 1994 at the age of 73 due to congestive heart failure. And I'm surprised that Cannon has not been mentioned about a movie revival or a television revival. I think it would be a good movie version of Cannon. There's a lot of overweight actors who could play Cannon, and it's probably because of the way it's mimicked as his overweight and eating. It'd probably be a lot more comedy than a crime drama. I think that Paramount should really consider making a Cannon movie. Well, I'll be back tomorrow for at least 3 to 6 more video blogs. And tomorrow's subject for is this person a Hall of Famer? It's going to be about Patriots quarterback Tom Brady. And don't forget, later on this week, Facebook friends and YouTube followers, I'm going to have a very special blog about who should have been the WWE champion 1984 if Vince McMahon did not get Hulk Hogan from the AWA. If Hogan stayed in the AWA and became AWA champion, I'm going to tell you the top 10 wrestlers who should have been WWE champion. Vince couldn't get Hulk Hogan, and some of the wrestlers on the list will probably surprise you, and some of them are obvious. Well, I'll see you later, Facebook friends, YouTube followers. Good night, everybody.